Good morning, dear viewers, and thank you for joining us on the 9:30 a.m. Prime Flash, coming to you live from my Media Prime Television. And I am Dolly Ngonde for our presentation as the news begins with some 26 people who have been arrested in Bule Bakundu, a locality in the Meme division of the southwest region of the country. They have been detained in Kumba after a group of youths accused and brutally killed a 23-year-old man for allegedly stealing a mobile phone. According to sources, amongst those arrested were two quarterheads who watched how the youth group, who were mostly youths of course, tortured and hanged Yannick Moiti to death. In more news, we keep on updating you with the just ended 2023 March parliamentary session, which is just ended in Yaoundé. And coming up in this report done for us by Elvis, he says focus has been on reminding the parliamentarians to go, brainstorming on the need to tighten the security measures plaguing the highways in particular, and also the socio-political crisis in the restive Anglophone regions and in other parts of the country. Get details of this report right ahead with Elvis.
Je déclare clos les travaux de la première session ordinaire de notre Chambre pour l'année législative 2023.
Interpairs with landmark events like the senatorial election, the just ended March session of the National Assembly renewed confidence on Honorable Kavaye Jibril as Speaker of the Lower House. The National Assembly, through its Speaker, Kavaye Jibril, has praised the calm and serenity that reigned during the electoral process, seeing it as the maturity of political parties in Cameroon. As members of parliament return to their respective constituencies, they have been urged to be alert, especially following the new form of armed banditry that has emerged on our roads through attacks on large trucks, public transport buses, and buses of private individuals. The National Assembly has called on the government to step up security measures in the littoral region because of its economic importance not only to Cameroon but also to other neighboring countries in Africa. Kavaye Jibril says he counts on administrative authorities on ground to keep this new breed of miscreants at bay. Each year, the National Assembly holds 3 ordinary sessions in March, June, and November, not lasting more than 30 days. In case of a specific agenda, the National Assembly may, in accordance with the Constitution, meet in extraordinary session for not more than 15 days. This can be done at the request of the President of the Republic or 1/3 of its members.
You're welcome back, and let's talk related news by revisiting the just ended held senatorial elections and appointments in Cameroon, which have also tallied President Paul Biya's ruling CPDM party 94 seats in the upper house of parliament. Fonquinta, in the report coming up, has detailed some very important facts for us to note as she comes up reporting now.
30 senators, 3 from each region, have been appointed by President Paul Biya as stipulated by Cameroon's constitution and Section 215 of the Electoral Code. The 30 appointed joined 70 others who were elected on March 12, 2023, thus completing the House to 100 senators, with 94 from the ruling CPDM, while opposition grabbed 6 seats. If there was any suspense at the end of the senatorial elections of March 12, in which no opposition won a seat, Mr. Biya put an end to it on Friday, April 31, appointing 30, 6 of which are opposition members coming from different parties: the UNDP, ANDP, MDR, UPC, FSNC, and the Social Democratic Front political parties. Going by the presidential decree of March 31, a total of 11 persons are making their maiden entry, 19 maintained, while 10 are out of the house, with every region having at least a newly appointed lawmaker, but for the East and South regions, whose senators in the last legislature were maintained. Going by regions, the Adamawa has a new face amongst the 3 appointed. The Central region counts 2, Far North North region equally has 2, the Lithua region has 1, while in the West region there are 2 faces prominent amongst them, Seydou Bombonjoya, former president of the Cameroon Football Federation. The Northwest and Southwest regions of Cameroon hit hard by the over 6-year conflict described by political analysts as regions where caged voters are expected to produce results have 2 new faces respectively, Vanigansen Mochigal of the Social Democratic Front and Fon Ekoko Mukete, paramount ruler of the Bafors, who substitutes his father, Fon Mukete Esimingo Victor. For the next 5 years, the 100 members of the Upper House of Assembly are expected to take decisions as per the needs of those they are representing.
Thank you, Quinta, for the details there. Now let's talk something else, where some 4 police officers have been permanently expelled from their training at the police academy in Mutengene in the Southwest region. Coming up in the report ahead, Naivona says the officers were expelled based on charges of drug trafficking and consumption. Get the details right ahead.
These student police inspectors are accused of trafficking, being in possession and the consumption of hard drugs, as well as violating the ethics and deontologies of their profession. They include Zambo Christian Loic, Meyanga Jean-Claude, Tobogbe Donfils, and Anyuzowa Claude. The 4 student police inspectors were dismissed from the police training center in Mutengene Southwest region on Friday, March 31, 2023 during assembly, where they were presented to the other trainees at the center. According to authorities of the institution, the victims, since their arrival at the training center, did not comply to or execute the rules and regulations put in place, most especially the fight against drug possession, consumption, and trafficking. The definite exclusion of the 4 thus puts an end to their career within the police force. It should be noted that this is coming shortly after the Divisional Commission of the Douala International Airport, Babangida Amadou, was relieved of his functions and arrested on the orders of the General Delegate for National Security, Martin Bargangele, and charged with validating drug trafficking at the Douala International Airport here in the economic capital of Cameroon.
That was Naivona reporting there. Away from that, the Minister of Territorial Administration, Paul Atanganji, has handed over 38 new vehicles to some senior divisional officers and divisional officers of the country. The vehicles were handed over in Yaoundé, the political capital of Cameroon, and while handing over the vehicles, the minister called on the recipients to know that these vehicles should be used only for administrative purposes. And you are still watching the 9:30 a.m. Prime Flash, coming to you live from My Media Prime Television. Now, in more administrative news, the mayor of Bamuso Council in the Bakassi Peninsula over in the Southwest region has assured the fishing population of his municipality that he will, and together with his team, deliver equipment to them. Samuel Meme was speaking at the first ordinary session devoted to the adoption of the 2022 accounts. Get details with Jato Derek, who was there.
Record now project that in the entire history of the Bamuso Council, it is only during the mandate of Mayor Samuel Meme that history has been created.
And since its inception, we've never gotten up to a point of 750 million francs CFA as our management account. We were demoted at one time to class 4, and all of a sudden, because of our hard work for the past year, 2022, we have been reinstated back to class 3 because our management accounts are now above 500 million francs CFA.
And the decisions to arrive here were firm.
We have to shun at all those who are practicing the very negative mentality of defrauding the council in correction of revenues in the field. And recalcitrants were disciplined seriously.
Today, the councillors of this Bamuso subdivision in the Bakassi Peninsula, Southwest region, are sitting for the first ordinary session for 2023.
We just adopted the administrative management and stores account for 2022, and it is quite impressive indeed. We hope to stay or improve on what we have done because the management and administrative account this year is better than that of the previous years.
Known as a development-driven council, the divisional officer for Bamuso subdivision, Wala Ezak, who sat in for the senior divisional officer for the Njan division, while congratulating the council management for the teamwork, reminded them that it was hard, no doubt, to score this high, but it will be harder to maintain the standard. Thus, the time to engage more is now that they have the momentum. From Mayor Samuel Meme to the fishing population of the Bamuso municipality, the future is bright.
The message I want to give to the population is that there is a brighter future for Bamuso and there is hope. We have just started. It is visible. One, it is verifiable. What people can verify, what people can see. And we want to tell the population of Bamuso that what we have not been able to do, if we are being given the time, we'll be able to do more.
The councillors of this CBDM-run council were also congratulated for their effective participation at the just ended senatorial election.
And that was Jeto Derek reporting there. In more administrative news, we take you now over to the Northwest region, where the General President of the Wimbum Funds Union, His Royal Highness Commander Kimbi, has challenged his tribesmen in the country to continue supporting the funds of the Wimbum clan by rallying for peace and development back home. Charles Kebwa attended this ceremony and came back reporting.
The estimated over 1,000 Wimbum people residing in Bamenda intend to raise over 85 million FCFA, construct a structure to host Wimbum Funds Secretariat. During a fundraiser come together at the Andamukon Street Meeting House, Bamenda, Sunday, April 2nd, 2023, the Bamenda branch of the Wimbum Cultural and Development Association members regret the ongoing socio-political crisis has hampered their activities because of threats to move along the Kumbundu stretch of the ring road, and insecurity has affected education in the locality. To redress setback, the president of the Wimbum Funds Union Fund, Commander Kimbi, called on his people to advocate for a return to normalcy.
Today, in our land, talk less of Northwest and Southwest, we just see the peace returning gradually. We just pray that it should come fully so that we should go on with our development and so that Wimbum people can gather together. Even those who have fled to the bush, even those who are elsewhere, if we cannot be together, we cannot build. So I just pray that peace will return so that our people should come back home.
The General President of the Wimbum Funds Union, His Majesty Commander Kimbi, challenged his tribesmen in the country to support the funds of the clan, for the doors of the palaces are open for peace and development back home.
From Donga and Mantong, the elites of Wimbum people to come for advice. Those who are even outside, those who are in Yaoundé, those who are all over Cameroon, those who are at home, we are calling upon them that the door of the palace is open. The Wimbum people need to think again, and what is happening, we don't know, but we need an advice.
It should be noted, Wimbum people constitute a major tribe in Donga Mantung division of the Northwest and reputed for agriculture.
And let's talk this news of religious interest, where at least some 3,000 Catholic youths from the Douala Archdiocese have converged and celebrated their 24th Diocesan Youth Day here in Douala. While chairing the event, the presiding clergy, Archbishop Samuel Kleda, has urged the youths on the need to draw closer to Jesus Christ. Get details in the report coming up. The need to shun moral decadence has been the focus during this 24th edition of the Diocesan Youth Day, happening here at the St. Peter and Paul Cathedral in Douala. The event has been presided over by the lead clergy, His Lordship Samuel Kleda, Archbishop of the Douala Diocese, who has, through his message to the over 3,000 youths present from the Archdiocese of Douala and beyond, urged them to draw closer to Jesus Christ, who stands out as the only friend who can never fail.
Le message est simple.
The message is simple. We must get attached to Jesus, because no one can love us genuinely like him. And in adding flesh to the Archbishop's message for the day, Reverend Father Christopher Gekum, the Diocesan Youth and Infant Chaplain, now has this to say.
The Diocesan Youth Day is a symbol of togetherness, a symbol of a synod, where the church lives together, to teach young people, especially the teachings of the Archbishop is the teaching of an apostle, to his people, especially the youth who are given to him, under his charge in the Archdiocese. He has the mandate to proclaim the good news, to sanctify these young people, and to ensure them that they are not just to come and enter the church for their own purpose, but they need to come to the church because Jesus is inviting them to come and see wonderful things and gain salvation, especially through the proclamation of the good news.
Given the diverse challenges young people face on a daily basis in today's world, this day has not only come to celebrate the youth, but also to enable them set their feet on the right paths.
This Archdiocese is living as a synod. We have a 3-year synod that is directed for the young man that come and see the wonders of God. Millions of young people don't see the wonders of God because it is spiritual, but they see their own things in the world, which is money, power, and fame, and they are influenced by emotions and many other things.
And as the church continues to observe the Lenten season, a solemn Holy Mass was also held, which saw the blessing of many more youths. Meanwhile, others too were awarded for their outstanding performances with the issuance of prizes and certificates thus. In all, the 24th edition of the Roman Catholic Diocesan Youth Day here at the St. Peter and Paul Cathedral has ended in cultural dance display and diverse forms of animation to keep the youths ever more thrilled. And away from that, let's talk news from the African continent, where a convoy of the African Union Peacekeepers Union has been hit by an explosion in Somalia's capital, Mogadishu. Reports say at least 3 civilians who were in the vicinity lost their lives, and according to a local security officer, the explosion was caused by a landmine planted near the road. Troops from Africa Union Transition Mission to Somalia at MIS have also been conducting daily patrols when the attack occurred. And we now take you straight to the United States of America to talk what's making news headlines, where former U.S. President Donald Trump has pleaded not guilty to 34 criminal charges during a historic court hearing in New York. Meantime, the former president has returned to Florida, where he gave a defiant speech to his supporters and said the case was an insult to the country. Trump has also lashed out at the judge and prosecutors and claimed without evidence the case against him was politically motivated. And I'll urge you to take a listen to Donald Trump, part of his excerpt where he was making these declarations. Take a listen to this.
And I never thought anything like this could happen in America. Never thought it could happen. The only crime that I have committed is to fearlessly defend our nation from those who seek to destroy it. And now these radical left lunatics want to interfere with our elections by using law enforcement. We can't let that happen. With all of this being said, and with a very dark cloud over our beloved country, I have no doubt, nevertheless, that we will make America great again. This fake case was brought only to interfere with the upcoming 2024 election, and it should be dropped immediately.
That was Donald Trump speaking there to his supporters after his first court hearing in New York, but he was actually speaking in Florida. And dear viewers, that concludes today's edition of Prime Flash. We shall be bringing you more details of these stories and many more fresh stories by our 6:30 p.m. primetime newscasts, which will be coming up again today, and other programs which we, of course, we get towards your viewership. Thank you very much for watching. I have been Dolly Ngonde for presentation, and this newscast was produced by Elvis Modika. General coordination came from Fit Tata and supervision from Kum Lunet. At exactly 10 a.m. Cameroon time, the brief is coming up with Lasha Kingsley. Stay in the company of more interesting programs only on the African Eye. Goodbye for now.
Welcome to a new world of TV broadcasting.